The Yardbirds arrived in New York in April of 1968 for a date at the Anderson Theater, a dingy rock palace 2 blocks from the Fillmore East. It was a bad, dismal night, and the band was jet-lagged from their flight from Los Angeles, their adopted home. So they were angry when a staff producer from Epic, their American record company, announced that he was going to record the show. Nevertheless, the Yardbirds went on and opened with their theme, Train Kept A-Rollin'. I'm Confused sounded like a soundtrack of a horror film, featuring dramatic hushes. This was in the depths of the Doors' rock theater period, Jimmy's dramatic bow showpiece, and dazzle guitar solo at the climax. For Shape of Things, Keith Relf introduced Jimmy Magic Fingers Page, grand sorcerer of the magic guitar. After Jimmy's Indo-Celtic showpiece White Summer, played on an Indian-tuned Danelectro guitar, the show ended with I'm a Man and a full-blast Yardbirds rave-up, Jimmy playing a wild, flashing solo on his knees. A few days later, the group went to Epic to hear the playback. It was a total embarrassment, Jimmy recalled. It was recorded on jet lag, and by a guy who had never recorded a rock band in his life. He had one mic on the drums, which was unthinkable, and he mic'd the wrong cabinet for the guitar so that the fuzz tone, which gave us all the sustain, wasn't picked up. Even worse, the producer had tacked on bullfight cheers and sound effects of clinking glasses to make the record sound live. While the Yardbirds were in New York, Richard Cole hung out with Keith Moon and John Entwistle at Salvation, the hot disco of the day. One night, Moon and Entwistle were complaining about The Who, about how they hated Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, and wanted to break up The Who and form a band with Jimmy Page and Steve Winwood. And Entwistle said, according to Cole, yeah, we'll call it Led Zeppelin, because it'll go over like a lead balloon. Moon roared out in his maniacal bray, and Richard Cole told Jimmy about the idea the minute he got back to the hotel. Back in England in the late spring, the Yardbirds disintegrated. Keith and Jim didn't like the music anymore, preferring the softer styles of Fairport Convention and the incredible string band. For them, the Yardbirds were through. I tried desperately to keep them together, Jimmy maintained later. The gigs were there, but Keith would not take them very seriously, getting drunk and singing in the wrong places. It was a real shame. The group were almost ashamed of their very name, though I don't know why. They were a great band. I was never ashamed of being in the Yardbirds. The band's last show was at Luton Technical College in July. The next day, Peter Grant called Jimmy and told him that Keith and Jim McCarty had quit. Relf formed the short-lived folk rock band Renaissance with McCarty and Relf's sister Jane. Grant also reminded Jimmy that they retained the legal rights to the Yardbirds' name, and that there was a tour of Scandinavia planned for the fall if Jimmy wanted to go on. Jimmy said he was keen. Years later, Chris Drea reflected on Jimmy's role in the Yardbirds. He worked very hard at fitting in and contributing music. He had a very professional attitude. He was very prompt, and we, by the time we joined, were almost degenerate. Undisciplined, we were rabble. We were getting tired, and Jimmy was fresh and enthusiastic. He tried to put as much as he could, but he was also using it as a platform for himself, getting into bowing the guitar and other experiments. I think Jimmy had really preconceived the demise of the band. He knew he wanted to continue with another band. I think that both Peter Grant and Jimmy realized the potential of the coming years, and we'd just done 5 years of it, at a time when rock bands and venues were at an unknown quantity. But they realized the potential, and they were obviously right. And with the endless painful wisdom of hindsight, Jim McCarty added, the worst thing was, just after we split up, the whole thing exploded, didn't it?